back to another episode of Word Up with Danny Katz. Today I am joined by Sonia Barrett, who is such a multi-hyphenate, I don't even know where to start. Radio host, documentary producer, author, certified high-performance neurofeedback practitioner, and personal development strategist, friend of Emily Moyer and our podcast. Sonia, how you doing? Thank you for being here.
I am great. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So we have a little bit of shared history aside from our friendship with Emily Moyer in that you have a radio show at KPFK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
It's probably about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting time to be at a, is it considered a public radio station?
Well, it is public radio.
Yeah, it is public radio station.
Mm-hmm.
So what has that been like being there through so much, like cultural turmoil? And I know Los Angeles has changed so much in those past few years. What's your experience been like?
Well, I guess I just sort of host my show according to what I want to talk about. Obviously, there were some things that they preferred me to not talk about when I did talk about it. It was, it was in the very beginning of the pandemic. And so it rubbed some people the wrong way. That was kind of that. It rubbed some people the wrong way at the time. I had Dr. Judy Malkovich on, who was sort of spearhead. At the time, she was more at the helm of coming out and speaking out from her professional perspective and being familiar with all the players that we see before us. And so, yes, there were things that she was saying and I was saying, and that created a little bit of a tension. But the good news is that people called in, besides people that thought, oh, well, she can't say that. There were people that called in that overwhelmed the switchboard, wanting me to say more of and to not silence me from saying whatever I was saying. So anyway, so that was kind of that. But for the most part, I just kind of do the show according to what I want.
Oh, I love that. I'm happy to know that the audience called in. Did that sway the power structure over there to give you a bit more leeway in terms of your
Not really. No, I got kicked off the air the following Monday, despite all the fussing and asking. And the only reason, part of the reason for that is because I was bringing her back. Dr. Judy Malkovich was coming back for part 2, and they're like, no. And so they removed me for that following Monday and aired something from the Mayo Clinic that would completely squash whatever we were saying. So that's basically what happened. So there's a couple of guests that I wasn't allowed to have, couldn't have them on. But obviously that shouldn't stop you, because the platform is just wide. Wherever you can post your podcast, that's the way I feel. You can do your podcast, whatever / radio show, and it's about being able to post it in your different places. I have a website. You have websites, and that's yours. You can post it there if you want to, but it should never stop anybody from speaking out. You just find where you can put it, and if you put it there and then they take it down, then you just put it somewhere else. I mean, that's kind of my sense on it. As they say, one monkey don't stop no show. So that's how I feel.
I appreciate that perspective. Is that sort of a natural orientation for you, to be easygoing and not get super ruffled by things like censorship or stifling or whatnot?
Oh no, I'm ruffled. I'm ruffled. I'm ruffled because I don't like to be controlled at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just across the board. So my whole thing is, whoever it is, you can't tell me what to do. But since it is your platform, and that's how I look at it, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, the reality of it is those platforms are not yours. They belong to these other people. You post on there. And so for me, the reality of that is there. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not my platform. So you can do whatever you want to do. But we tend to kind of make ourselves feel like that if they say no, if they say you can't do it, then that's the only game in town. That's the only place you can place it. And I think it's the numbers game. Sure, you can place it on these big platforms, but even then, it doesn't mean you're going to draw the crowd that you want to. So I just think, you have to be in a space of what do you stand for? And that's my whole thing. What do I stand for? And whatever I stand for it all the way through. I'm not wishy-washy. And people who have known me through this process of this pandemic know that I am like very firm on what I'm doing. I don't really care what you're telling me to do. That doesn't work for me. So I'm doing what I feel I need to do, because guess what? I belong to me. Not to anybody else, just to me. So that's my take.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm always curious about how other independent thinkers, rabble rousers, and content creators are navigating the censorship landscape. And that just your perspective just feels very sane, very grounded, like they're offering us free platforms. So, we know that that's the agreement from the get-go.
Exactly.
So I know you were the executive producer of The Business of Disease. When did that come out?
It actually came out in 2014, but it went into distribution in 2016. It got distribution in 2016. And 2014, I think 2014 or 2015, we did I did the premiere of it, and it came out. And then, 2016 was when it went into distribution.
And was there any pushback from the established medical community or the monies behind them around that project?
No. No. And also there were some people, medical doctors, that had agreed to be in the film, but then decided that they didn't want to be in the film because they didn't want to ruffle the feathers of their own profession, and they didn't want to, so they pulled out. But in terms of if there's been pushback, I certainly haven't paid any attention to it. I think if there's any pushback, the only pushback could have been done in a way, maybe, I don't know, where you don't get that many people seeing it. Now, the only time there's major pushback like that is when you're affecting enough people, when enough people are seeing or hearing what you're talking about, that's when they step in. Outside of that, as long as you're not waking up enough people and there's enough people asleep to make the game work, they're okay with that. So that's kind of where I am. And I did years back when I did Government of the Matrix, that not interview, but I did a talk called Government of the Matrix, and it was I was interviewed on KPFK back then. So it was the year of the election. What was that? 2008. Was the year of the election. And so I told people that, put down your pom-poms because this is not going to go the way you think. And this was on the radio. And so I had people come to the talk that was going to happen, I think, the following day. And it was only there, because you never know who's in the audience, that the next day I did get an email just from somebody that said, I'm, law enforcement, and I was there last night, and, aren't you worried about what you say? And I said, I don't see that there's anything to worry about, because I don't see where I've said anything that's an issue. And so that was that was,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you've been speaking about the established medical paradigm for a while, and now we see it escalating in this like extreme overreach and extreme, all the stuff that's going along with it. Do you see this as like a step that's towards it course correcting? Like, do you see a way that we're going to get out from under, the evil claws and domination of big pharma of this Western medical paradigm?
What I see is an opportunity for individuals to wake up, because it's individuals. Individuals hold the power. The people hold the power. And we could use the word sadly or unfortunately, but the majority of people are truly conditioned to believe in, obviously, government and the medical, the allopathic medicine as the model and the gospel. And so those people, you can't change their minds unless they're ready to open their minds to something else. Mm-hmm. So right now, yes, it is a fear crisis. That is why it's working. And there are people that are going, 1 or 2, 3, 4, whatever, people that are going, wait a second, this makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what it's going to be about. I think it's going to be about, as each person awakens, maybe they will send a ripple effect, maybe with their children, maybe with their families. But certainly we cannot sit around waiting and hoping for the whole system to change. The whole system, truthfully, has been what it's been even before the AMA, even before the American Medical Association, even before all of that. The system has always been a dominating force, from religion to medicine to government. It's always been. I think what has happened here, we're looking at an angle that is more featured, because everything else has been sort of like automatic, like across the board, so you don't really notice. It's just even sort of on an even level. Mm-hmm. And it's been like that from your parents and their, and so on, and so you don't notice. But then suddenly we have this big effect, and that's when we're seeing it. But it is not new. This is not new. Yes, years ago I kept saying that when people were fussing about healthcare, and I kept saying, you guys don't understand. They are wanting you to keep begging for this healthcare. This is done intentionally. They want you to keep begging for it, and then they're going to give you what you want. You're not even going to realize what you're getting. And so it's a matter of how the people are prepped for every next move, every next behavior, every next narrative, every next belief system. And they don't notice, because it's gradualism. It's gradually done. And right now, when you infuse fear into our reality like that, and it's affecting people's health and people's lives. No, people are scared of losing that one thing, which is their life. And so this is where we are. But I feel it's a wake up. It's a moment of being able to wake up, if that is part of your journey to wake up.
Yeah. And are you seeing people waking up? I mean, I know you've been speaking about this for quite a long time. Like, are you seeing it have an impact?
I do. I mean, I do see people, but people, when we say waking up, it's just different levels of that. There's just different levels of people waking up, because I think a lot of times people want to see, like, everybody woke up, and there's this big, everybody woke up on the same level. And it just doesn't work like that. It's layers. It's, people wake up on one level. Maybe they start noticing, oh, this is nonsense. I'm really not trusting this whole big pharma thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's one level of them waking up, and then there's this whole other level of taking it beyond that. So I think that from that perspective, I think there are people that are snapping out of it. Mm-hmm. It's sort of straddling the fence to some degree, but certainly it's pushing us forward. Then we'll leave this and it'll be something else. First, at one point we were worried about robots taking over and AI and all these other things, and suddenly we forget about that. Now we're on this thing. It's like a child crying And then you show the child a shiny red ball, and then they're like, oh, and then they go over there to shiny red ball. This is what they do with us. And this right now, this is the shiny red ball.
Yeah, it's like the whack-a-mole game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
okay, it's
exactly.
AI, it's Ukraine, it's monkeypox, it's like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. And some people are like really like basting in all of it. Some people may take one thing, they've got, oh, the monkeypox stuff and the that other C word. And so they're on that mission. But then there are people who are doing that, then they're doing the Ukraine stuff, and anything else that's coming along, they're on it. So that's one heck of a stressed out person. That's one person that is anxiety ridden, that is a candidate for being the very thing that they're running from, which is being sick.
Completely. It's like all of the fear mongering and the stress is pretty much the worst thing for immune system, which was the first thing I thought when they deployed this particular op. I know that when I was living in Los Angeles, I think it was maybe 2018, I broke a toe and I got Medi-Cal so that I could get physical therapy.
Right.
And I went to one of the clinics on Hollywood Boulevard, and in comes a nurse. It's time for your flu shot. You're overdue for your flu shot. And I'm like, that's not a thing, being overdue. Like, we don't do that. And the pressure where they sent someone else and they're like, you don't want a flu shot? That's really weird. We've never heard that. And the pressure, and that felt new. And then it just had me wondering about the level of integrity of the people who were pushing this. I ultimately didn't get to physical therapy because I failed by refusing the flu shot. But like, I'm just wondering how these people are going along with it. Like, I think if you mentioned the doctors who ended up pulling out of the documentary, and like, what is going through their minds that is allowing them to be minions for this project?
Well, I think as far as those doctors, it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
Not everybody is ready to be whatever you call it, an activist, or ready to put it all on the line. And then there are doctors who honestly maybe believe in the madness. They believe in it. So there's some that believe in it. So, it's a mix of people and where they are, that's causing them to make the kinds of decisions. Now, there are also people, let's say, who don't believe in any of like, they don't believe in it, but they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to rock the boat at all. They don't believe in it. So they're going to do what they're told. And I've seen some of those people. They're going to do what they're told. I don't believe in it. This is ridiculous. But they're going to do what they're told because, they just don't want any hassle. So they're those people. And that is always fascinating to me. And I get it. When you decide to stand for something, we look at folks over the years of the people who have done that, Dr. King always comes to mind, where he says, I might not get there with you. And then this man clearly knew he was going to die. I mean, we've got Kennedy, we've got enough people who have said, this is the truth that I stand for. This is what I stand for. Do or die. This is it right here. Not everybody is willing to do that. And I completely understand. Right? Because they freaked him out. And so I get that. So again, that's how people are making choices and waking up. And then there's the rest of the crazy folks like me that's just like, no, no, I will not do this. No, I will drive 2 hours away to buy food if I need to, but I will not participate. I will, anyway, I will not fly until this is done. I mean, there was just things that I said, I'm not participating, because there has to be some people that say absolute no. If everybody said yes, we would be in a worse situation. It would be so much worse. So I look at that. I always look at the fact that I'm like making up numbers. That's what I say. Okay, I'm making up numbers for those who would like to, but they can't. I'm making up numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I feel like I will not fly while this is going on. I will not play any of the games. And I feel like I saw this early on when they were forcing the face covering situation here in New Mexico. And I'm like, we say no to this, it's done. We don't say no to this, this is going to a really creepy, yucky place. So there is a part of me where I'll get down on my friends who are like, well, I want to go to Hawaii, So
yeah. Who wants to go on vacation? For as far as I'm concerned, with this, I don't want to get stuck outside the country. First of all, I don't want to hear, oh, we've changed the rules. You're in order to come back, and so I don't trust the system. As long as that state of emergency, that emergency is still hanging out like that, they can do anything they want to do. And so yeah, I mean, I'll drive hours if I need to, depending on where it is. If I really need to get there, I'll just drive hours. And unless it's some kind of an emergency, there's not, everybody already knows anyway. Yeah. Would love to come to your party, but I'm not going to be coming because if it's out of the country, for sure not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really validating to hear, Sonia, because I feel like my friends like think I'm such a drag where I'm like, no, I'm not driving across, I'm not flying anywhere. Like, who knows when they're going to change the rules? I'm just writing this out. So I'm happy to know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not the only one. Yeah, I'm consider probably for some people like really extreme. Well, here's the thing. You can't be a little bit pregnant, it's either you're pregnant or you're not. And that's where I'm at. As one who's been pregnant, I know you can't be a little pregnant for sure. So that's kind of where I am. And there are people that just really like they have to fly because of their job. And I understand that. So if you don't have to do these things, like if you can find another way, then yeah, because I'm voting with my dollars. I am going to make decisions. I'm going to make my decisions known with my dollars. And I want those numbers to be reflected for everything, for restaurants, for airlines. Unless these numbers are affected, and as long as everything is being supported enough to keep the game up, they will keep it going. But when those numbers are affected of certain businesses, they're going to be more apt to go, no. Who wants to do all that to go eat some food when you can cook yourself? It's so ridiculous. I do not ever want to go to eat that bad that I need to show a card or what? Yeah.
Yeah. So is this affecting how you roll in Los Angeles? And are you receiving like the shaming that I know I'm experiencing?
Well, that word does not exist for me. I cannot be shamed.
Speak more about that, please.
I can't be shamed. I might, how am I going to be shamed because I decide I'm not covering my face? You can't shame me. This is my face. No. So no, you can't shame me. You do what you want to do. I don't care. But that's what I'm basically saying to people. But no, I don't know. That word does not apply to me ever at all with any of it. Oh yeah, people have said things to me. I've been given the finger by this older couple. It's an older couple telling me that I was the problem in Whole Foods. As I mind my own business shopping, she's, this little lady, she's like, you're the, what did she say? You're the problem. And I turn around, I remember what I was buying. I'm like, who's she talking to? I realize it's me. You're the problem. What did she say? Yeah, it's people like you. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I am like, whoa, what is she talking about? And that's what it was. My face wasn't covered. So she proceeded then to be very angry and then give me the finger. And you're just kind of like, wow. And you realize the brain damage. That's basically how I'm looking. I'm like, wow, this is what has happened. People have been given permission to behave that way, to feel like they're an authority now. And so I understand the brain damage here and and all of that. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm going back to doing what I'm doing. And I've walked out the store. Yes. If, when somebody said, come over and said, you really need to do this, have your face covered in the store. And if I can go, okay, fine. Yeah. But I'm shopping and I'll just go check myself out, whatever. But if somebody just really comes up and insists, then yes, I will leave everything. I will not argue. I will leave everything. I don't care if it's a full basket. I leave it and they just watch me go right out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do. I'm not going to argue. I'm just, because I have a choice.
Yeah.
I have a choice. I don't have to be here. And I think people need to understand that. And inconvenience, you have to decide what's inconvenient for you. Going someplace that's 30 minutes away, if you can, or an hour and away. For me, it was never too far to go buy my food if I really need to do that. And that was just a decision I made.
Right.
I was like, okay, if I need to go into Orange County to do my shopping, that's fine. I'll make it fun. I'll drive the hour and a half, go get my stuff. But fortunately I didn't do that. I just I did, but I didn't have to. I would go into stores and after a while they ignored me. My husband's favorite comment is that he thinks that my picture is up at all the time card stations. Because I just go in and I'm fully masked. I shop. I'm like the only person in a massive Whole Foods, and I shop wherever it is, and I go right out. I'm not sneezing. I'm not sniffling. I'm not doing any of that. I'm perfect. Obviously, I look perfectly healthy. I am fine. So this is what I'm doing. I will spend my money then because you're not bothering me. But the minute you bothering me, I am not spending my money.
Yeah. I think it's smart, and I think it's where we have a lot of power. And in terms of inconvenience, it's like, okay, well, I can be inconvenienced by driving a little bit farther, or I could become a slave on a social credit system where I'm shoved in a camp and live in that world. So for me, I'm always thinking how high the stakes are. I'd rather be inconvenienced now for a short period of time and put a stop to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then, you can take the same idea. You see, this concept doesn't just apply to this situation. It's across the board. It's to everything. You can't be, just Mrs. or Mr. I'm feeling so spiritual. And then you're like over here completely contradicting what you say to be true. So there's a lot of contradiction. I mean, obviously you can do that, but I think we have to be honest with ourselves and look at the contradictions that we live. I think this is what this moment is. And I think that's a symbology of the mask, of the unmasking. Mm-hmm. So I think this moment is a very important moment. I think it is a very powerful moment if we look at it. So when I look at it from that standpoint, I see the incredible beauty at the same time in this moment, in this defining moment, because all the masks are coming out from people we know, friends, family, the behavior of people. It's all come down. So we get an opportunity to see that and see where we are, because people are reconditioned, right? When it started, I said, okay, it takes 21 days. They say 21 or sometimes less or more to create a habit. You see, this has gone into many days past 600 days, right? Yeah. So we're way past 14 days or 21 days, 7 days. So people have been reprogrammed, and we all have been affected. In some way, we have been affected because everything got sort of flipped. And I think it's to a point where people might not even notice how they've changed. You start to forget what you were like. and all of that. So it's a very interesting time, but it's a powerful time too for people to grab a hold of their inner power, and inner awareness, and really trust that.
Yeah. And I think that that's why this is happening, because I think through decades and generations of indoctrination, a lot of people don't have a solid sense of self, don't have strong will, strong self-esteem, and most importantly, don't have a mission or a purpose. So I think this is, like the woman who yelled at you in Whole Foods, like now she has a purpose, yelling at people who aren't covering their faces. And I also wonder, like, what are the spiritual repercussions for those who know better but are still playing along with it? That's where I have the most like,
Yeah,